So when people talk about Israel and Palestine, they always talk about October 7th. Let's talk about October 7th. Okay, we could talk about October 7th, but let's also talk about September 28th. Let's also talk about December 27th. And let's talk about July 8th. Let's talk about September 28th, December 27th, and July 8th. So we'll begin October 7th. October 7th, it's saying here, you had 1,139 Israelis killed. 1,139 Israelis killed, including 815 civilians. And then they said that 251 Israelis and foreigners were taken captive into Gaza. But then we're also reading here that more than 39,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed. 52% of those are identified as women and children. Well, shit, that's not proportional at all, now is it? You got, less than 2,000, and yet you have 50,000, less than 2,000 were killed, so they had to kill 50,000? I'm going to talk more about it. I got a little paragraph to read, and then I got some discussion, but let's just get to the conclusions. So September 28th, 2000, you're going to have Ariel Sharon is going to visit the Temple Mount, and that's going to start the damn conflict. That's going to start riots. It's going to start murdering. That's going to start killings. So because of September 28th, because of the Second Intifada, 3,300 Palestinians were killed. Okay, well, this is more closer to being proportional than right now. September 28th, 2000, because of what happened in the Second Intifada, you had 3,300 Palestinians that were killed. So 1,139, 1,139 were killed on October 7th. That's awful. That's a terrible tragedy. September 28th, the Second Intifada, 3,300 Palestinians were killed. So that's about 3 times as many. Let's talk about December 27th, 2008. December 27th, 2008, that's the second Gaza war. That's the first Gaza war. 2008, we're going to see 1,417 Palestinians killed. 1,417 Palestinians killed, and it's all lopsided. Couple hundred Israelis, 1,417 killed Palestinians. So let's talk about December 27th. Let's talk about September 28th. Let's talk about December 27th, and let's talk about July 8th. July 8th is the second Gaza war. And what happens with the second Gaza war? 2,310 Palestinians are killed. 70% are civilians. So, is it wrong to kill 1,139? Yes. Is it wrong to kill 1,417? Yes, that's more. So because of December 27th, more Palestinians were killed than Israelis were killed on October 7th. Because of September 28th, 3,300 Palestinians were killed. That's 3 times as many. And because of July 8th, you had 2,310. And you know how many Israelis were killed? Because of July 8th, 2014, 73 Israelis. 73 Israelis are killed, so 2,310 Palestinians had to be killed. 70% are civilians. That's the Second Intifada, the first Gaza war, and the second Gaza war, September 28th, 2000, December 27th, 2008, and July 8th, 2014. You want to talk about dates? We all can point out different dates. It's been 10 fucking months now. 50,000's been killed. Up to 200,000 Palestinians have been killed. This shit's fucking ridiculous. And for why? Let's talk about October 7th. Why? Okay. Well, the occupation, the blockade, the expansionment of Sept, they're stealing the fucking land, and the threats to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the general plight of the Palestinians. So the occupation, the blockade, no food can get into it. They are being occupied militarily. The expansion of settlements, they're stealing Palestinian land. All 2 million of the Palestinians have been displaced at some point in time or another. So let's get to the very beginning. Okay, so the Second Intifada. Well, this is going to begin September 28th. September 28th, Israel opposition. I'm just going to read this little paragraph here. This is Wikipedia. On September 28th, Israeli opposition leader Ariel Sharon and a Likud party delegation guarded by hundreds of Israeli riot police visited the Temple Mount. This is 2000. This is under George W. Bush. 2000, or is this Clinton? One or the other. Either outgoing Clinton or incoming George W. September 28th, Israeli opposition leader Ariel Sharon, Likud party delegation guarded by hundreds of Israeli riot police visited the Temple Mount, which is widely considered the third holiest site in Islam. Israel had claimed sovereignty over the Mount and the rest of East Jerusalem since 1980, and the compound is the holiest site in Judaism. The Israeli Interior Minister Shlomo Ben Ami, who permitted Sharon's visit, later claimed he had telephoned the Palestinian Authority security chief Jibril Rajab before the visit and gotten his reassurances that as long as Sharon didn't enter the mosque, his visit wouldn't cause any problems. Rajab vociferously denied having given any such reassurances shortly after Sharon left the site. Angry demonstrations by Palestinian Jerusalemites outside erupted into rioting. The person in charge of the Waqf at the time, Abu Kitesh, was later indicted by Israel for using a loudspeaker to call on Palestinians to defend Al-Aqsa, which action Israeli authorities claimed was responsible for the subsequent stone throwing in the direction of the Wailing Wall. Israeli police responded with tear gas and rubber bullets while protesters hurled stones and other projectiles, injuring 25 policemen, of whom one was seriously injured and had to be taken to the hospital. At least 3 Palestinians were wounded by rubber bullets. The stated purpose for Sharon's visit of the compound was to assert the right of all Israelis to visit the Temple Mount. However, according to Likud spokesman Ofer Akunis, the actual purpose was to show that under a Likud government, the Temple Mount will remain under Israeli sovereignty. So Ariel Sharon goes and visits a disputed area. Now, what is the Temple Mount? Now, all 3 religions claim the Temple Mount. All 3 religions claim the Temple Mount. But let's talk about what he did. So Ariel Sharon just pretends like, oh, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything. He goes to a spot that's disputed. So he goes to a place that is his, isn't his. We're not for sure. But he knew it was going to be controversial. That's why he did it. That happened September 28th, 2000. Ariel Sharon visits this place. The next day you got riots, and 7 Palestinians are going to get killed. And this is apparently after a police officer, the chief of police, got hit in the head with a rock. The chief of police got hit in the head with a rock. 4 Palestinian kids were killed. By the end of the day, 7 Palestinians were killed. 300 Palestinians were wounded. Why? Because Ariel Sharon visited the Temple Mount. And then September 30, we're going to kill a Palestinian boy, and it's going to be captured on film. Within the first 5 days of the Second Intifada, what began the Second Intifada was Ariel Sharon visiting the Temple Mount. Within the first 5 days, 47 Palestinians are going to get killed. 1,885 are going to get wounded. The Israelis are going to shoot 1.3 million bullets. 300 Palestinians wounded. 4 Palestinian kids were killed. The first day, 7 by the end. September 30th, you're going to have a boy that got killed on video. That boy got killed on video and everybody saw it. Within the first 5 days, you had 47 Palestinians killed. 1,885 were wounded. September 30th, you had Mohammed Al-Dura was going to get killed. That's the boy who got killed. It was captured on video. Jacques Chirac was trying to talk to the international community saying Israel is the victim, but it just wasn't proportional. It wasn't proportional. Apparently, so far, no Israelis have been killed. So Ariel Sharon visits. There's some riots. There's some rock throwing. Within 5 days, 47 Palestinians are going to get killed. And I don't hear about any Israelis being killed. Jacques Chirac told Barack it wasn't proportional, and he couldn't convince anybody that the Palestinians were the aggressors. Well, wait a second. Israel killed 47 Palestinians. How many Israelis were killed? 0. Later on, the September 28th event is going to turn into the October 2000 events. Another 141 Palestinians are killed. 47 Palestinians are killed. 141 Palestinians are killed. Then it goes to November 2000. Another 122 Palestinians are going to get killed. Then you're going to have an incident in Ramallah, October 12th. And then 2 Israeli cops are going to get killed. This is the first that I've read about Israeli cops being killed. 100 Palestinians were killed in October. 24 kids. During the October events, 2 Israeli cops are going to get killed. They called that a lynching. Well, that could be a lynching if you ignore the 140 Palestinians killed and the 47 Palestinians killed. And then November, 122 Palestinians are going to get killed. And then they said that this second intifada is going to last until February 8th, 2005. So because Ariel Sharon visited the Temple Mount September 28th, the total amount of Palestinians that are going to be killed is 3,300 Palestinians are going to get killed. And 1,000 Israelis are going to get killed. So I'm not going to say it wasn't just one-sided and one-sided completely. But 3,300 Palestinians were killed. 1,000 Israelis were killed because of September 28th. That's the second intifada. And what happened? What's the effects? Well, in 2006, you're going to see Hamas is going to be elected by the people. They're finally going to have elections, and Hamas is going to get elected by the people. 2006. So Hamas was democratically elected. The elections were pushed forth. And then we're going to get to December 27th. So we'll talk about those other 2 dates, but let's talk about the significance of the Temple Mount. If you're a Christian, or if you're Jewish, or if you're Islamic, if you're Muslim, the Temple Mount has religious significance. And what's the religious significance of the Temple Mount? Well, September 28th, Ariel Sharon visited the Temple Mount. What's the Temple Mount? Well, according to the Old Testament, when God takes the dust for Adam, that's Mount Moriah. So Mount Moriah is the dust that God took and he blew into the dust and created Adam. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. It's also said that Jacob's dream of the angels and ladders came from the Mount Moriah. Again, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Abraham attempted the murder of Isaac on Mount Moriah. So this is evil as shit. God told Abraham to murder his son, and so Abraham said, fine, God. God would never tell you to murder your own son. The great spirit of goodness told you to murder your own kids. Fuck you, you fucking bullshit lying motherfucker. Abraham is going to sacrifice a ram instead. So if that's the case, well then Abraham did a bunch of evil on Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah, they say, is the Temple Mount. The temple is going to get built on this same mountain. Jacob, you don't know when he had his dream of angels and ladders and then God's dust for Adam. You're claiming a bunch of shit that's not fucking true. What I will admit to, for Judaism, you had Solomon who built the first temple. Solomon built the first temple. Nebuchadnezzar destroyed it. So Solomon built the first temple. Nebuchadnezzar destroyed it. Then the second temple is going to get built. And then 70 AD, the Romans are going to destroy it. Titus destroys the temple. And that fulfills Jesus' prophecy. Jesus has some significance when it comes to Muhammad. So Islam, what Islam says about the Temple Mount, well, that's where Muhammad ascended into heaven, was from the Temple Mount. Muhammad ascended into heaven, well, that sounds like God's dust for Adam and Jacob's dream of angels and ladders. Jesus chased the merchants and the money changers away from the vicinity. Jesus chased the merchants and the money changers away from the vicinity of the Temple Mount. What else did Jesus do? When he was young, he was in there teaching the rabbis. Young Jesus, somehow they visited the temple. And they all left. Mary and Joseph walk away and they say, well, where is Jesus? Where is Jesus? And they go back and they say, hey, Jesus, we were looking for you. Where were you at? And he says, I was talking with my father. And it's like, well, Joseph is like your stepfather, right? Because the virgin mother bullshit thing. Oh, Joseph is your father. No, I was talking to God, my father. And it was said that young Jesus was actually teaching the rabbis at the Temple Mount. And then Jesus is going to prophesy that the temple is going to get destroyed when Titus destroyed it in 70 AD. That fulfilled the prophecy when Jesus prophesied the temple would be destroyed. So therefore Jesus is a prophet. Jesus predicted that the temple was going to get destroyed. He chased the merchants and the money changers away from the vicinity because it was corrupt. And he charged the authorities of the Temple Mount with being corrupt. So all three of these major religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, have some claim to the Temple Mount. They got some claim, some bullshit Bible story. Some bullshit Bible story about the Temple Mount. So which one's true, which one's not true, who knows? You could just make the Temple Mount international. Ariel Sharon is sitting there saying it's Judaism. The Muslims got pissed off. And then under George W. Bush, he tried to do a two-state solution. That's the whole point of the elections, was to get Palestine some democracy. Lebanon had a weak democracy, and then Israel had some kind of democracy. Iraq had a democracy. George W. Bush wanted to get democracy into the Middle East by having the people actually choose it. Fatah versus Hamas. Hamas actually had a better campaign. Hamas was saying more public services, and Fatah they need to be modernized. So that's what happened with the Second Intifada. That's September 28th. Ariel Sharon did a very provocative thing, visited the Temple Mount, acted like it was his and nobody else's. Riots are going to happen. Palestinians are going to get killed. In the end of it, by the end of the Second Intifada, because of September 28th, 3,300 Palestinians are killed when 1,000 Israelis are going to get killed. Now let's talk about December 27th. What's December 27th? Well, that's the Gaza War. At 11:30 a.m. on December 27th, 2008, Israel launched the campaign titled Operation Cast Lead. It began with an opening wave of airstrikes in which F-16 fighter jets and AH-64 Apache attack helicopters simultaneously struck 100 pre-planned targets within a span of 220 seconds. There was a 95% success rate with 0 misses in the opening attack, according to the Israeli Air Force. 30 minutes later, a second wave of 64 jets and helicopters struck an additional 60 targets. The airstrikes hit Hamas headquarters, a bunch of government offices, and 24 police stations. We're attacking the police stations. I thought we loved the police. The police could do no wrong, right? Trump supporters, cops are great, the thin blue line. But wait a second. The thin blue line, Trump's got 34 fucking felonies. Thin blue line, my ass. Trump also visited fucking Epstein Island. The airstrikes hit Hamas headquarters, government offices, 24 police stations. An Israeli UAV airstrike on the police headquarters of Gaza City killed 40 people, including several dozen police cadets at their graduation ceremony. Do they not need to police themselves? Approximately 140 members of Hamas were killed, including Tawfiq Jabber, head of Gaza's police force. Another estimate puts the death toll of the police academy strike at 225 Hamas militants killed, 750 injured. Israeli Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni told reporters that Israel would strike all targets associated with what she called the illegitimate terrorist government of Hamas. Illegitimate? They got elected in 2006. The people of Palestine elected Hamas. At least 225 to 230 Palestinians were killed and more than 700 injured. on the first day of the strike. Civilians, including children, were among the casualties. That's what happened December 27th. December 27th is the first Gaza war. That's going to be just prior to Obama taking office, just before Baby Bush leads. This is Operation Cast Lead. It's also known as the Gaza Massacre. And what's going to be the end of the Gaza Massacre? Well, you're going to have 1,400 Palestinians killed. 1,400 Palestinians killed. 13 total Israelis were killed. Now, there was something about 3 teenagers were kidnapped and then they were killed. But then there was 2 teenagers that were killed. So you kill 2 Palestinian teenagers, nobody gives a shit. 3 Israeli teenagers are kidnapped and killed. And now we start a big-ass war that kills 1,400 Palestinians. This is lopsided as fuck. This shit ain't even close to being proportional. Justice is eye for an eye. They killed one of your guys, okay, then you kill one of them. 1,400 of them? Wait a second. That's not eye for an eye, that's an eye for 1,400. F-16 jets, AH-64 Apache helicopters, so they're throwing rocks at you and you're flying a bunch of planes and bombing the fuck out of them, blowing them into a bunch of pieces. 11:30 a.m. That's December 27th. 100 targets are going to get bombed. 30 minutes later, 64 jets and helicopters, 60 more targets. This is the deadliest one-day toll. Hamas HQ, government offices, 24 police stations. For 60 years prior to 2008, December 27th, never did you have over hundreds killed. 230 Palestinians are going to get killed. Now let's talk about, we've already talked about December 28th. We've talked about September 28th, 2000. We've talked about December 27th, 2008. Now let's talk about July 8th, 2014. We'll get to the numbers and then I'll read this little section here. So July 8th, 2014, I already mentioned it, but you had 2310. 2,310 Palestinians are killed. 2,310 Palestinians are killed. 70% are civilians. 73 Israelis are killed. 73 Israelis are killed. That's 2014. And then you had the September 28th, 2000, December 27th. So the first Gaza war, you're going to see 1,417. I'm not sure how many Israelis were killed. But here we're saying just 13 Israelis were killed with the Gaza massacre of 2008, and 73 Israelis are killed in 2004. So the second Gaza war, 73 Israelis are killed. Well, how many Palestinians? 2,310. The first Gaza massacre, 13 Israelis got killed. How many Palestinians? 1,400 Palestinians were killed. That's so lopsided, it's not even funny. So because of December 28th, 1,400 Palestinians are killed, 13 Israelis are going to die. July 8th, 2014, 2,310 Palestinians killed, 70% are civilians, 73 Israelis are killed. This is one-sided. This is so one-sided, it's not even funny. And then a lot of these are civilians. Of the 17 that were killed in the first Gaza war, 926 were civilians. That's 65% that were civilians. So October 7th, I get you. 1,139 is a lot. But 1,417 is a lot too. That's December 27th. 3,300 Palestinians is a lot also. That's September 28th. July 8th, that's 2,310. That's twice as amount. 3,000, 1,000, 2,000. And now it's 50,000. They've killed 50,000 Palestinians. That's the official number. If we're not counting disease and starvation, if we're going to count disease and starvation, that's 200,000. This fucking genocide has been going on for 10 fucking months. United States and Israel is financing this shit to the tune of billions. 3.5 billion, no, 23.5 billion. We could have solved fucking homelessness in America. But we don't care about spending our money for love and compassion, for bloodshed and evil and wickedness. Oh, we don't have, we got all the fucking money in the world. We got people that's living in the sewers in Las Vegas. We got Americans living in the fucking sewers. You can't get $10,000 to build them a house? People want to talk about inflation and you're spending billions of dollars. Yeah, look at all the fucking shit for genocide. Maybe if we were printing money up to build housing for a homeless, poverty's a bigger issue, but we could easily solve homelessness. Easily. Let's read something about 2014, the Gaza War, also known as Operation Protective Edge. Battle of the Withered Grain, a military operation launched by Israel July 8, 2014 in the Gaza Strip, a Palestinian territory that's been governed by Hamas since 2007. Following the kidnapping and murder of 3 Israeli teenagers in the West Bank by Hamas-affiliated Palestinian militants, the IDF initiated Operation Brother's Keeper, in which it killed 10 Palestinians, injured 130, and imprisoned more than 600. Hamas has subsequently fired a greater number of rockets into Israel from the Gaza Strip, triggering a 7-week-long conflict between the two sides. It was one of the deadliest outbreaks of open conflict between Israel and Palestinians in decades. The combination of Palestinian rocket attacks and Israeli airstrikes resulted in over 2,000 deaths. Yeah, we're going to combine those two. This is one-sided shit. This includes a total of 6 Israeli civilians who were killed as a result. All 6 Israeli civilians, but we have 2,310 Palestinians killed, 70% of which were civilians. 10,626 are going to get wounded. So you got the second Intifada, you got the first Gaza War, you got the second Gaza War. You want to talk about October 7th? All right, let's talk about October 7th. How many hostages are still out there? Is there even any hostages that are still alive? Because it makes no fucking sense for Hamas to have any hostages at this point. Why would you hold on to a single one? Either give them up, or apparently you could just drop bombs on a whole fucking village and blow everybody up. Is that smart? Israel didn't kidnap anybody. They're just indiscriminately killing people. Is that what they should look at Israel's behavior and follow Israel's example? You're not going to be able to twist the other side's arm and force the other side into submission. Kidnapping them? Apparently kidnapping isn't allowed. But you're allowed to bomb kids, old people, women, children, men who are not military. That's A-okay. So yeah, October 7th. Yeah, October 7th. That was terrible. But you had the occupation and you had reasons for why they did it, just like you have Israel giving reasons for why. September 28th happened, which is going to lead to thousands of, 3,300 Palestinians are going to get killed because of September 28th. Because of December 27th, 1,417 Palestinians are going to get killed. Because of July 8th, 2,310 Palestinians are going to get killed. You had the second Intifada, the first Gaza War, the second Gaza War, and now I guess you got the third Gaza War. MC Abdul said he was only 14 years old and there's already been 3 wars. 14 years old, when they talk about war, they're talking about they're getting bombed and they're seeing bloodshed and dead people and bodies, body parts all over the fucking place. It's not like when America does war and we attacking people over there and we don't see any kind of war happening here. This is real war. They're actually in the shit. And it isn't military on military. It's everybody on everybody. Civilians are getting killed. Kids, women, old people, military, not military, everybody. So we can talk about October 7th. But we're also going to talk about September 28th. And we're going to talk about December 27th. And we're going to talk about July 8th. Because those thousands of Palestinians were killed. And we're pretending that the lives of the Palestinians doesn't matter. Why? Because they're Muslim? Because they're brown? The reason why America doesn't give a shit, look what happened to the Native Americans. You pushed them into the reservation. You didn't integrate the Native population. Why didn't you integrate the Native population? And then when it comes to black folks, they're the slaves. And then when they get freedom, instead of integration, they're going to be segregated. That's why Palestinian is being treated like shit. They're being displaced, put them on a reservation, they're being separated, it's being segregated. We're not doing integration. And they're Muslim. So we don't actually believe in freedom of religion. It's okay for Israel to be a Jewish state, But Palestine can't be a Muslim state. And then Christians. And then Judaism. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Exodus that says, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, stripe for stripe. This shit ain't proportional. This shit's been going on for not just since 2000. This shit's been going on not even since 1948. I'd say this shit's been going on till what? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago? I think America needs to occupy Israel right now. America needs to occupy Jerusalem. We need to take these countries over. These fucking countries are going to get us fucking nuked. If we're the fucking empire, we're the premier empire, Israel's our ally, they'll love that American troops are there. They'll love that American troops are in Israel. We're here to promote peace. Take over Palestine, take over Israel, adopt those as the 51st and the 52nd American states. We can go visit them whenever the hell we want to, and then they can come here. We got plenty of space in Utah. They're going to drop Israel right down on the land of Palestine because the Bible 2,000 years ago said it was okay. And then Netanyahu's looking at all those criminal charges. So keep the war going, he gets to stay alive and free. But if the war ends, well, hell, he's going to get prosecuted. So because he's in some fucking judicial trouble, everybody's going along with this stupid ass shit show. $23.5 billion, 100 dead people, 200 dead people. Eventually, all these hundreds are going to end up. They are real people. And this shit fucking sickens the fuck out of me. And I can't think about anything else. Because I know that every second, every moment, every minute, every single... You got some kid that's stuck underneath the rubble and they need to dig and they need to dig. And we got a chance to save that kid. What the fuck did the kids do? At least 115 kids have been killed since October 7th. You just had those twin babies that were killed. Why the fuck did they kill? Israel killed the fucking press. She had a press. It was right. The journalists are being fucking killed. So you want to talk about October 7th? I'll talk about October 7th, but we're also going to talk about September 28th and December 27th and July 8th also. Let's talk about July 8th.